What it do, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Aladdin. If you're new, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button if you want to be unplugged from the matrix, that is. And, learn about the new world. You know that the government's been hiding extraterrestrial life, etc., etc. So let's get into it.
Number 10. Military working with aliens? On an Australian morning news show, a man was interviewed claiming that he worked with extraterrestrials at a base in the United States. This allegedly happened in the 1960s, and the ex-military man is Charles James Hall. Charles says the military allowed alien beings to take up residence in secret at a military base in Nevada. Charles wrote about his experience in a series of volumes he called Millennial Hospitality. According to him, workers at the Nellis Air Force Base called the extraterrestrials the Tall Whites because they were tall, slim, and extremely pale. Charles might be insane, but he also might not be. He fought in the Vietnam War and then went on to serve as a weather observer at the Air Force. It was during his time at the Nellis Air Force Base that he supposedly met the aliens face to face. They would just wander around the base. It was an open secret with the other military agents stationed there. But Charles might not be the best proof of alien life out in the universe. He also made the outrageous claim that he met the gray aliens from the Roswell incident in 1947. He seems to believe there are different types of aliens, different breeds that occasionally visit Earth. They use U.S. military bases like hotels. The government was supposedly allowing the aliens safe passage in exchange for access to their technology. Charles also said the tall, pale aliens look very similar to humans, but they can live for an astounding 700 years. That's pretty crazy because in the Bible, it says people used to live for over 700 years prior to the flood. Could the early humans of the Bible have really been pale aliens from another planet? Is Charles just crazy? Let me know in the comments. Number 9. Proxima b. 4.2.
Hold on. They might be onto something there. I mean, we got Moses. We got Abraham. Yeah. I mean, in the Old Testament especially. Y'all need to look up all those names. That's crazy.
2 light years from Earth is an alien planet very similar to our own. It's called Proxima b, and it might just contain alien life. An international team of researchers recently calculated the planet's total mass. They believe it's about 17% bigger than Earth. It also happens to sit perfectly in the habitable zone of its star. Just like how Earth sits in the sweet spot of the sun, Proxima b sits close enough to its home star to benefit from life-giving warmth and energy without being roasted. The research team used espresso to study the planet. Espresso stands for a shell spectrograph for rocky exoplanet and stable spectroscopic observations. It's a Swiss piece of equipment mounted at the European Southern Observatory's very large telescope in Chile. The telescope is so powerful it was able to give researchers an unprecedented view of the mysterious planet. Alejandro Suarez Mascareno says Proxima b is one of the most interesting planets in our local solar community. It orbits Proxima Centauri, the nearest star from our sun. It almost definitely has liquid water because of its position to Proxima Centauri. The fact there is water means there could be life. And because of its size, researchers think it has the same kind of rocky geography as we do. That's to say, Proxima b might have the same types of landscapes. There could be deserts and mountains, snow and rivers. It could be extremely similar to Earth. Sadly, the technology isn't perfect. Researchers still don't know if the planet has an atmosphere. They aren't able to see what its surface looks like. There could be a small alien civilization living in great fields of weird plants, but scientists don't have the tech to look that far. And now for the Pentagon has come under major pressure in recent weeks thanks to a former intelligence officer's shocking claims. A whistleblower has gone public with information that the U.S. government is in possession of non-human crafts. Both intact and partially destroyed alien vehicles are supposedly being held at secret government sites across the country. The whistleblower is David Grush. He worked inside a U.S. Department of Defense agency as an intelligence official analyzing unexplained anomalous phenomena. In other words, he was in charge of looking at unidentified flying objects. Once his term in the government was over, he blew the lid wide open on their secrets. He is now claiming alien vehicles are being kept, with all information about them being illegally withheld from Congress. It's all classified information, and anyone who reveals anything faces retaliation from the government. David himself left after 14 years working in U.S. intelligence. This is a major step in the U.S. government finally admitting to aliens being real. Jonathan Gray, who currently works at the National Air and Space Intelligence Center, confirmed David's statements. He agreed that the government does indeed possess exotic materials and that we are not alone in the universe. The Pentagon is being pushed from all angles to release any information they have about aliens. There has been a major swell in
See, a lot of these whistleblowers have been coming out lately. And it's only a matter of time that the government does something where they just completely wipe their brains. Like on the Man in Black type shit. Like, all they gotta do is just scan your brain and then they'll forget everything. But it's good that they got it out there before they did that.
sightings recently. Video evidence, leaked documents, potential abductions. Even the Pentagon's report, released in 2021, discussed over 140 instances of unexplainable encounters. The Pentagon only released that report after military footage leaked showing Navy pilots in contact with a non-human craft in the sky. This is a currently ongoing development. It's one of the first times major news networks across the globe have picked up a story about UFOs and the Pentagon. It's pretty much everywhere, and the Pentagon will hopefully release new information soon. David Grush claims his own information comes from extensive interviews with the highest level of government officials and his knowledge of a recovery program for UFOs. Number 7. Starseeds. What if everyone on Earth was a reincarnation of an alien? That's the news theory that has begun to take root among the more open-minded citizens of the world. The theory says that some people have come from another planet to guide humanity into a golden age of prosperity. They call themselves starseeds or star people. And although the idea may seem crazy to some, it's one of the most trending, unusual ideas right now. There are millions of results online and videos posted every day across the major social media platforms. #Starseed has over 1 billion views on TikTok. So what is the starseed theory about? Certain people have come to the realization that they are reincarnated souls of aliens in the bodies of humans on Earth. They died on a distant planet and then woke up with no memory of it here. The so-called star people believe themselves conduits between the realm of Earth and whatever interstellar plane they came from. They also claim to possess the ability to speak in the light language, a type of communication that comes straight from the soul. While the idea of starseeds may feel new, it's been around since the 1970s. Author Brad Steiger introduced the idea of certain people on Earth originating from other dimensions in his 1976 book, Gods of Aquarius. It was only recently that the thought of being a reincarnated alien entered the mainstream media. But how exactly does one know that they are a starseed? Luckily, there are certain signs and indicators you can look for. Believers say anyone desperately searching for a meaning to life could be a star person. The sensation of not belonging, the strong spiritual connection to the world, and an uncanny intuition. These are all qualities of a starseed. Other qualities include empathy, strong mental health, and overwhelming sensitivity. Believers say this is because the alien spirit isn't used to being inside a human body. Do you think you might be a starseed? Let me know in the comments and hit that subscribe button while you're at it. Number 6. The Hopkinsville Goblins. On August 21st, 1955, the Sutton family ran to their local police station in a frenzy. When they arrived at the station, they told the southwestern Kentucky cops about how their farmhouse had come under siege by extraterrestrial beings. The Suttons of Hopkinsville were clearly scared out of their minds. The encounter lasted several hours in which they were too afraid to go outside. But throughout the whole thing, the family saw the aliens on their property. They described them as goblin-like. It was this incident in the 1950s that coined the term "little green men," even though the Suttons never said the aliens were green. They only said they were small and looked like monsters. As it is with most UFO sightings, the sighting is only as believable as the witnesses. The Suttons were respected members of the community. They lived in a small, unpainted house with no phone or radio. They didn't have a TV or books to read. It's hard to imagine these people coming up with a story of little green men and being so convinced that they ran to the cops. There were 12 witnesses in total, and only 3 of them were children. The police noted the Suttons, being rather poor and rural, weren't the type to seek help from the police. They were the kind of people who would defend themselves with their own guns. The fact the whole family, including the rowdy countrymen, were so hysterical adds to the credibility of the sighting. The family claimed the alien encounter began at 7 p.m. An extremely bright, silvery object with exhaust fumes the colors of the rainbow approached the house and landed in the yard. Then the little goblins got out, and they were horrifying to behold. The humanoids were about 3 feet tall, with arms so long they dragged down to the ground. Their eyes also glowed with a devilish yellow light. The case became very famous across America. Professional ufologists came to investigate, but no conclusive decision was ever reached. There was a major problem of no physical evidence. There was nothing to prove aliens had been there. At the same time, the family seemed reliable. They were religious and none of them drank alcohol. The Suttons had no reason to make up such an outlandish story. So what happened? Nobody knows. Do you believe the Sutton family? Number 5. The Fireflies. 1962, John Glenn was loaded into the Friendship 7 capsule in preparation to blast off. He became the 3rd American in space. He also became the very first American to orbit the planet for any long period of time. He made 3 passes around Earth, and something strange happened. John claimed that he saw fireflies. Speaking with Mission Control, John said he witnessed luminescent particles like fireflies or miniature stars swirling around the spacecraft. He said a whole shower of them streaked by, 7 or 8 feet apart. It was like his own personal meteor shower. John said the fireflies seemed to be following him. They were going just under his own speed, but had their own unique motion. They seemed to swirl like bits of shining gold foil in a pool of water. What were the fireflies that John Glenn saw? NASA was originally worried the heat shield of the capsule was disintegrating. They thought it was pieces of debris John was seeing and he would perish in space. But that didn't turn out to be the case. And then, later that year, Scott Carpenter made the same trip as John and also witnessed the fireflies. NASA scientists came out quickly to dismiss the strange glowing sparks of energy as illuminated frost flakes. NASA said that when the capsule broke free of Earth's gravity, the flakes of frost started to fall away and look like glowing fireflies. But what if it was something else entirely? What if the fireflies were an unidentified space phenomenon? Living pixies, cosmic energy clusters, anything other than frost flakes? Do you have any theories as to what the astronauts were seeing? Let me know in the comments and hit subscribe while you're at it. Number 4. The future of interstellar travel. To understand how far all potentially habitable planets are from Earth, let's pretend to make a scale model of the solar system. In this scale model, planet Earth is positioned 3 feet away from the Sun. The next closest star, Proxima Centauri, is then placed 200 miles away. That is the insane distance human beings must travel if our race ever hopes to visit a planet beyond our own little solar system. One of the fastest spacecraft currently in service is New Horizons. It travels at 36,000 miles per hour. Fast, right? Not really, because it took a decade to reach Pluto. If that same robotic ship was to reach Proxima Centauri, it would take another 25,000 years. If any man or woman is to reach a new solar system, humans must develop interstellar travel. But what would that look like, and is it possible? The issue is energy. To go fast enough to travel intergalactically, there must be an absurd amount of energy. One method that could work is something called the Starshot Initiative. Scientists think that by shooting a powerful laser onto a light sail, it could be done. A light sail is a thin membrane like a bat wing on the back of a ship for collecting energy. The intense energy from the laser could push a spacecraft to about 1/10 the speed of light. That would allow the vehicle to reach Proxima Centauri in only 50 years. That's not half bad. Problem is, that laser would need to be incredibly powerful. Humans would have to band together and use the energy from every nuclear reactor at the same time. The laser would also have to produce energy for about 10 minutes, something that is currently impossible. One part I also forgot to mention is that the spacecraft couldn't weigh much more than a paperclip. In this hypothetical scenario, humans reach a new solar system in 50 years, but somehow have to fit onto a paperclip. As you can see, it's very unlikely interstellar travel will happen soon. If there is an alien civilization out there, the only hope humanity has is that it reaches out first. Even then, does anyone really want aliens landing on our planet?
And who knows that the government don't already have that technology thanks to these aliens. Roswell incident.
Number 3. The Majestic 12. The Majestic 12, more simply known as MJ-12, is the real secret organization many of you might know as the Men in Black. Legend has it MJ-12 was established by President Harry Truman after the Roswell incident of 1947. Truman founded a group of government officials and scientists whose job was to conceal the truth of alien life. The evidence of MJ-12's existence has remained elusive over the years. The government has never made any official confirmation that the group is real, but there have been a lot of strange interactions between ufologists and the Men in Black. For example, British ufologist Timothy Good claimed that he came into possession of UFO documents in 1987. The documents were from the 1950s and supposedly revealed the truth about the Majestic 12. The documents also supposedly proved the U.S. government had been working with aliens for the past 40 years. Again, the alleged documents are impossible to prove. Many of the encounters with MJ-12 agents are nothing but hearsay and anecdotes. Men dressed in black suits who supposedly badger eyewitnesses of UFO sightings into silence. The biggest issue with MJ-12 is that they are too secretive. They are just too good at what they do. Every theory is vague, and nothing about them has ever been proven. Plenty of ordinary folk have claimed to see aliens or be abducted by them. Many people also claim they were abducted by the Men in Black, yet there is not a single official claim from anyone irrefutably reliable interacting with MJ-12. There are astronauts and government officials who have leaked UFO information, but nobody with that kind of status has admitted to the Men in Black being real. If they do exist, they are the most secretive branch of the government to ever be created. Number 2. Ancient Egyptian Hyperdrive. The disk of Sabu is either an ancient Egyptian water pump or a leftover piece from an alien hyperdrive system. The strange object was discovered in 1936 by British Egyptologist Walter Emery. It was created during the earliest days of ancient Egypt, around 4,500 years ago. Walter became famous by excavating tombs along the Nile from 1935 to 1939. He dug up mummies in Saqqara and explored other ancient burial grounds. It was at the Saqqara necropolis that the disk of Sabu was unearthed. Walter discovered it during excavations of Prince Sabu's tomb. Prince Sabu was the son of Pharaoh Anedjib, the 5th king of the 1st dynasty in 2930 BC. This was centuries before the pyramids were built. Because the history is so ancient, not much is known about the pharaoh or his son. The youngster never became king, but was still given an honorable burial. Nobody knows why he didn't ascend the throne, nor much about those earliest kings of Egypt. Sabu's tomb was still very impressive even though he wasn't pharaoh. It contained 7 funerary chambers littered with treasure. One of the treasures was the disc of Sabu. It looks kind of like a bowl, but it isn't a bowl. It appears to be some kind of very intricately carved mechanism. The disc was carved from schist, an extremely fragile rock. At the time the object was made, people were still using stone tools and copper instruments. It would have been near impossible to create the disc using such primitive tools. To make matters more confusing, many have noted the similarities between the disc of Sabu and a modern pump impeller. They look identical. Some historians have suggested the disc was part of an ancient centrifugal pump. Or is it proof of ancient astronauts? Swiss author Eric von Daniken suggests the Egyptians tried to imitate pieces of technology from a more superior race of beings. Eric made the suggestion that the disc was a stone copy of a component from an alien ship's hybrid drive system. There's obviously no way to know a 5,000-year-old truth. If you were to ask mainstream archaeologists, they would tell you the disc is just a fancy bowl. The Atacama alien. In the inhospitable wasteland of Chile's Atacama Desert, a mummified skeleton was discovered in 2003. It immediately gained worldwide attention because it looks exactly like a tiny alien. Conspiracy theorists praised the little skeleton as proof of extraterrestrial life. However, scientists are saying that's all a bunch of nonsense. Experts from multiple universities have analyzed and investigated the skeleton. They say it's a tiny, deformed human, a deceased fetus that never grew into a person. Still, not everyone is convinced. The tiny fetus is missing 2 of its ribs and its features are all wrong. It truly looks like it belongs behind the wheel of a spaceship. Researchers from Stanford University and the University of California did the most comprehensive analysis of the skeleton. They looked at its genetic makeup to identify it as a human fetus. It's only 6 inches long and riddled with genetic defects. They believe the mother of the creature may have been exposed to chemicals from local nitrate mining in Chile. Gary Nolan was the scientist who did the deep dive into the skeleton's DNA. He soon learned the miscarried infant was only about 40 years old. It was left in the desert for unknown reasons, then mummified because of the intensely dry climate. These specific mutations occurred in genes associated with diseases like skeletal dysplasia and cranial ectodermal dysplasia. This is likely why the mummy has such unusual alien features. The mutations caused its leg bones to be misshapen. The defects made the infant extraordinarily small, and there were at least 4 distinct mutations that caused its alien-like deformities. The icing on top is that the fetus likely suffered from premature aging disease. Between the genetic defects and the possible exposure to mining pollution, this poor fetus didn't stand a chance. The end result is a tiny mummified skeleton that looks like a creature from a distant universe. Thanks for watching. Do you think humanity will ever reach the stage of interstellar travel?
That's wild. Once again, I learned something new. And if y'all learned something new today, hit that subscribe button. And until then, I'll catch y'all next time. It's your boy Aladdin.